Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about grief. Grief is something that, one, I want to say one of the most important things is that there is no end date for grief. If anyone ever says, just get over it or whatever, that's not at all helpful. A person can move on in life at the same time while still dealing with grief and processing things, and you can grieve someone decades later, and you will there are some people you will grieve for the remainder of your life. So I know, like my father, I will always grieve him, and it just changes over time. But some of the things, like right now, as it's the holiday season, grief can be very difficult to deal with. There's certain things that to be aware of. One, when somebody has dealt with a physical loss, a death of someone, then they're going to be struggling with a lot of things, a lot of emotions, and particularly in that first year, every month, that anniversary of that date usually is a trigger. The person's birthday is often another trigger. And there may be other special events, anniversaries, so forth, that will be difficult, and of course holidays. So if you're a friend of somebody who is dealing with grief and loss, be aware of that. But if you're somebody who is dealing with that and processing that, things to keep in mind: try to find some quiet time for yourself. Get out in nature is always good. If you can do that. Other things too, when it comes to dealing with that grief and that loss, you can set a place at the table for the person who has passed on, so they're basically there in spirit. You also can go out into the woods and maybe hang an ornament on a tree in remembrance of that person. Looking for other ways to keep yourself busy. You can volunteer and basically be helping others during the holiday season. If you have to go to or you feel you should go to a party or something of that sort, have an exit plan. Have a means of being able to get out early if you feel overwhelmed. I mean, these are things just to keep that in mind, and ideally, friends should be able to understand some of that. And nobody is perfect. People are always going to make mistakes and say the wrong things at different times, and the other thing too is sometimes grief and loss is not just about a person who died. It could be a divorce, a relationship breakup, could be a lost job. Whatever it may be, that particularly during the holidays can feel really overwhelming, because people look at the holidays as a time of joy, and if you don't feel joyful, you feel even more depressed. And the reality is, the holidays will pass. The loss, though it doesn't disappear. Part of it is just getting through the initial state, particularly the initial stages. That can be really difficult and trying. So if you've got friends to reach out to, support groups, if you've got a counselor, that's always good. The more support that you have in place, the better. Close family that understand the situation. So those are just some thoughts on grief. And I know a lot of times I say life is short, and that's one of the reasons. Life is unfortunately short, and some people know that all too well. If you can't be with somebody who's dealing with a loss, take time to pray for them. Pray for them to have peace and comfort and healing. So, but anyway, these are just some of the thoughts today on grief. And I'm sure I will put more out there just because there's so many different types of grief too. There's ambiguous loss. Sometimes we grieve things that like security or that's a sense of loss in that process. But take some deep breaths. Ideally, get out in nature. Um, Sometimes also you can. Another thought just popped into my head. If you want to reach out to somebody who's passed on, you can write them a letter. And if you know them well enough, you can also write a letter, a response letter from their perspective of how you think they would respond. Um, Sometimes just getting those feelings out, journaling, those are all very important. So, anyway, I hope you have a blessed day, and thank you.